3 incredible days alone at the station, then one little girl revealed an unexpected mama. Jake leaned against a weathered bench at the train station, the summer sun slowly creeping across the sky, warming the bustling city streets. As a mechanic in a small town down on its luck, he savored this rare 3-day break, the kind of time he seldom enjoyed. The chatter of townsfolk, the whir of trains, and the laughter of children at a nearby fair filled the air. Yet, even amidst this joy, the weight of his responsibilities clung to him like a heavy coat on a scorching day. Being a single father after losing his wife hadn't just affected his heart, it was a full-time job with overtime, but there he was, momentarily free from the whispers behind his back, the insinuations about his ability to raise his son, Ethan, alone. Jake yearned for a moment of peace, a break from budgeting each dollar, from feeling like the town's outcast. He took a deep breath, feeling the bittersweet memories of his late wife wash over him like a summer rain. It was then that he spotted her. Mia, a bright-eyed girl with tangled curls and a heartwarming giggle, wandered into the station, lost and alone. She looked around wide-eyed, a drooping ice cream cone in her hand. Jake hesitated, feeling his solitude threatened by her innocent curiosity. But the flicker of compassion within him ignited. "Hey, kiddo, are you okay?" he asked gently. Her small face broke into a smile. "I can't find my mom," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling like the summer sun. Despite the chaos swirling around him, Jake knelt down to meet her gaze. They began sharing stories, her laughter making the heaviness of his heart feel lighter. As the two talked, Mia's innocent questions about his life and Ethan shaped Jake's thoughts. He couldn't help but reminisce about his mother and the love she'd wrapped around him like a warm blanket. Their playful banter filled his soul, and for those moments, Jake wasn't just a mechanic struggling to pay the bills, he was simply a dad enjoying time with a kid who reminded him of all he had lost. "Is it hard being a single dad?" Mia asked, tilting her head, her innocent eyes lacking any judgment. Jake hesitated. "It has its moments," he admitted, feeling the tightening in his chest. Each honest conversation felt like a chance to break through the barriers built up by everyone else's opinions. As the fair continued to wind down, they hatched a plan to find her family. But little did Jake know, Mia's mother wasn't just ordinary, she was someone everyone in town recognized. Just then, he noticed the murmurs of townsfolk nearby. Whispers about how poor Jake must be in need of a hand. He felt their eyes glaring, judging him as they always had. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As Jake stood with Mia at the station, the final train rolled in, bringing a wave of anxiety crashing over him. Would the townsfolk's perceptions shift now that they would see who Mia's mother really was? Would they finally see past his struggles? Jake felt a swell of vulnerability mixed with hope. Just as they prepared to reunite Mia with her family, the echoes of laughter around him felt different, charged with the weight of possibilities. Maybe, just maybe, this fledgling friendship could redefine how Jake saw himself. But as the last train pulled away, he couldn't shake the feeling that everything he held dear was hanging by a thread. The train doors slid open with a hiss, and people poured out, excitement painting their faces as they rushed forth into the warm summer day. Jake's heart raced a little faster. He scanned the crowd, the shadows of doubt creeping back in. Would Mia's mother, when she arrived, change everything? Where is she? Mia's voice broke through his whirlpool of thoughts. Her tiny fingers squeezed his hand, anchoring him in the moment. The innocence in her expression was stark against the backdrop of swirling uncertainties. "Let us give it a minute," Jake said, forcing a reassuring smile. Yet, each passing second tugged at his anxiety. Each murmur from the nearby townsfolk felt like a pointed look, a reminder of his solitary journey through parenthood. He could almost hear the whispers of "poor Jake," a refrain that clung to him like sticky cotton candy, but then he saw her, a woman in a bright cobalt dress, running towards them, her hair dancing in the wind. There was a frantic energy about her, a wild look that told him she had lost something precious, and suddenly, he was reminded of his own heart, forever searching for the pieces that had fallen away since his wife's passing. "Mia!" she cried, relief flooding her features as she neared them. Jake's breath hitched in his throat as he recognized her. It was Sophie, the town's celebrated figure, a leading voice in community events, known for her charitable heart and flawless presentation. But today, she looked like a mother who had lost her child in the crowd. Jake's heart twisted. This was no mere town reputation standing before him. This was a woman who wasn't just the center of attention in town. This was a mother in distress, vulnerable much like he felt on most days. It struck him, a reflection of his life and the judgment he endured. "Mia." "Oh, thank goodness." Sophie scooped Mia into her arms, her voice a mix of relief and love. As Jake watched, he found himself on the outside looking in, battling a strange cocktail of emotions. The world seemed to fade as Sophie held her daughter tightly. It was as if he was a voyeur in a scene that was too intimate, yet painfully familiar. "Sorry, I lost track of time. I was chatting with the library volunteers about the summer reading program," Sophie breathed, her words tumbling out as if to justify her absence. "That's okay, Mrs. Hargrove," Mia chirped, beaming as she squirmed in her mother's embrace. Jake shifted, feeling alien in this moment of reunion. The townsfolk had been watching him, casting their judgments, but now they turned their eyes to Sophie, exuberant chatter replacing their silence. It felt like a weight had shifted, yet Jake struggled to process it. Would they now view him through a new lens, all thanks to Sophie and Mia's sweet bond? Sophie, noticing him, took a step back, her eyebrows knitted together in recognition. "Jake, thank you for looking after Mia," she said, her voice holding an undertone of surprise. "You didn't have to, but I appreciate it." He managed an awkward smile, feeling the impact of her words. Here he was, standing alone in a crowd, and yet he had been pivotal in this small, vital moment. "You're welcome," he replied, each word heavy with unspoken feelings. As they spoke, snippets of town gossip began fading into the background. The sympathy that once felt like a shackle transformed into something lighter. One moment, he was drowning in the weight of his solitude, and the next, Mia and Sophie breathed new life into his melancholy. "I think I've seen you around with your son," Sophie stated softly, curiosity creeping back into her expression. Jake blinked, suddenly feeling exposed, yet the warmth growing in his chest urged him to continue. "Yeah, Ethan and I have been trying to find our footing since I lost his mom." The admission tumbled out without his consent, leaving him momentarily vulnerable yet oddly relieved. "For what it's worth, you're not alone in this," Sophie replied, her eyes filled with understanding. "Many of us are trying to make it work, trying to find which way to go next." Jake felt a flood of gratitude wash over him. In her simple words, there was a bridge and echo of compassion that made him think about the threads tying their lives together. This moment just might offer the connection he craved, but just then, another train roared into the station, drawing both their attentions. As the doors opened, a wave of people spilled forth, and another figure caught Jake's eye. Someone from his past, stirring up memories he thought he had buried deep. The cold grip of worry wrapped around him again. Who was this new arrival? And what would they mean for him, Mia, and the tentative bond he had just formed with Sophie? The crowd began to ripple, voices rising in excitement as more faces emerged from the train. Jake's heart raced again, but this time, it was a mix of dread and disbelief. The familiar figure materialized from the stream of passengers, his ex-girlfriend, Lila, a ghost from a time he thought he'd left behind. Her gaze swept the platform, searching, frantic. As her eyes caught his, recognition sparked, and an array of emotions flickered across her face: shock, confusion, and something deeper, a hint of regret. "Mia." Lila called, her tone demanding, yet laced with something softer. Mia, still enveloped in Sophie's warm embrace, stepped back, looking between the two adults in a mix of curiosity and concern. "Mommy?" she asked tentatively, as if testing the air for answers. Jake's heart sank. The last time he'd seen Lila, she had walked away, her vision of their future erasing the instant he'd built his life around. The weight of her sudden presence tugged painfully at his chest, pushing down on the fragile connection he felt with Sophie. Would this moment unravel everything? Lila approached, her cobalt dress vibrant against the station's muted colors. "I'm here, sweetheart," she said, quickening her pace. In an instant, she scooped Mia up into her arms, cradling her close, as if their time apart had never happened. Jake felt invisible, a phantom in the backdrop of their reunion. The sight of Mia nestled against her mother pulled at his insides. This reunion was bittersweet. He had fought hard to be a good father, to fill the void left by Lila's absence. Yet here she was, reclaiming a moment that felt like it belonged to him. "Mia, I'm so sorry." Lila's voice broke, tears gathering in her eyes. "It's okay, Mommy. I was with Jake," Mia exclaimed with innocent joy, not fully grasping the tension simmering just beneath the surface. Jake saw the confusion twist Lila's face. "Jake? You mean the Jake I knew?" she stammered, glancing at him for the first time since arriving. "Yeah, the one and only," he said, his tone more guarded than he intended. "I didn't know you were back in town." She trailed off, her hand instinctively brushing Mia's hair. I thought you'd both be in a different place." He wanted to respond, to shout that he had been trying to find his own footing while juggling fatherhood. But the words lodged in his throat as tension crackled in the air around them. Sophie, silently observing this reunion, took a small step back. The kindness in her gaze lingered, yet Jake sensed a shift. The bond they'd begun to form felt fragile, threatened by the unexpected tide of the past. "I didn't expect to see you today either, Lila," he said, forcing calm into his voice. "How have you been?" "Oh, out there," she replied, her eyes darting to the ground, trying to mask the uncertainty swirling around her. "Life has been complicated." They stood frozen, caught in the web of past choices and present realities. Mia, blissfully unaware, hugged her mother tightly, radiating warmth and love that momentarily softened the tension. "I never stopped caring about you too," Lila continued, her voice cracking, revealing weariness that Jake hadn't anticipated. "I've missed so much of Mia's life." With that, a question loomed in the air between them. Would this moment bring reconnection or chaos? Jake felt the weight of decisions pressing down as he glanced at Sophie, catching her worrying frown. Lila took a step forward, reaching out to Jake. "Can we talk?" she asked, hope and fear mingling in her eyes. He was grappling with 1,000 emotions. He had spent years trying to protect Mia from hurt, and now his heart was caught in a storm of possibility, uncertainty, and the faintest glimmer of hope. What would this mean for his relationship with Sophie, and for Mia? Before he could respond, a loud cheer erupted from nearby as the townsfolk spotted a familiar face among the crowd. The moment of truth felt like it was about to unfold. What will Jake decide? And how will Mia fit into this new puzzle? Jake's mind raced as Lila's request hung in the air. Everything felt surreal, like a storm was brewing on the horizon, dark clouds rolling in, threatening to overturn the fragile peace he had cultivated with Sophie and Mia. He looked at Mia, her bright eyes shimmering with love for her mother, unaware of the tension that surrounded them. This was her mother, the woman she had spoken about so many times, the imaginary friend who had drifted into stories and bedtime tales. Yet here she was in the flesh, beautiful, vibrant, but also a reminder of everything Jake had fought to put behind him. "Yeah, I guess we should talk," Jake finally replied, his voice barely above a whisper. He felt Sophie's gaze burn into him. He didn't want to hurt her, but he felt an obligation to unravel this knot, to ensure Mia understood the change unfolding in her world. "Can we go somewhere private?" Lila asked, her voice trembling slightly. He hesitated, then nodded. Sure. Let us go over there. He pointed to a quieter corner of the platform, away from the crowd and the festive energy. The cheers and laughter faded into a dull hum as he started to move in that direction, Lila and Mia in tow. Sophie lingered for a moment, glancing from Jake to Lila and back again, uncertainty written all over her face. But then she turned away, disappearing into the crowd as they walked toward a secluded area. Jake, Lila began, her tone steadying as they settled onto a bench. Mia bounced between them, oblivious, playing with the ends of her mother's dress. The colors danced like her spirits, bringing vibrancy to an otherwise tense moment. Lila, this isn't easy, he said, taking a deep breath. You left without a word. I've raised Mia by myself. It's not fair to just show up now. I know, she rushed in. I made mistakes. I've been trying to fix my life, trying to make things right. I had to come back. I want to be part of Mia's life again. Her eyes glistened, the weight of the world pressing on her shoulders. Jake's heart cracked a little at the vulnerability in her voice, but resentment simmered beneath. Part of her life. You missed her first steps, first words, all of it. Just like that, you want to come back. What if I promise to be here now? Lila leaned closer, urgency in her voice. I can't change the past, but I want to be here, Jake. Mia looked up, swinging her legs as if in a game. Mommy, are you staying with us? Her excitement pulled at both their hearts, bright and innocent, a stark contrast to the shadows of adult pasts. Lila faltered, swallowing hard. I want to, honey, more than anything. The sweetness of Mia's innocence filled the gap, but the tension remained. What did staying even mean? Would Lila truly be consistent this time, or was this another fleeting emotion? Look, Lila, Jake said, his resolve solidifying. Mia needs stability. If you're serious about being here, you have to understand it won't be easy. I can't just let you jump back in. Tears brimmed in Lila's eyes, but she nodded fervently. I understand. I'll do whatever it takes, I swear. Just then, Sophie re-emerged, her brow furrowed, but the warmth in her eyes remained as she approached. Jake, can I have a word? He felt another surge of anxiety as he met her gaze, knowing it was now or never to confront the mess that was unfolding. Sure. He rose, glancing back at Lila, their eyes locking briefly, an unspoken plea passing between them, a promise to confront whatever lay ahead. As he followed Sophie, uncertainty gripped him. Would they find a way to navigate their new reality, or was this the beginning of an upheaval he couldn't anticipate? The moment felt fragile, teetering on the edge of change. What would Sophie say? What would it mean for Mia's life, and most importantly, what would Jake ultimately decide for the little girl in the cobalt dress? Sophie stepped closer, her expression a whirlwind of concern and something unnameable. The energy around them shifted, the sounds of the fair blurring into background noise, as if the world had faded away, leaving only the two of them to grapple with the weight of everything that had just been said. Jake, I saw the look on your face, she said, her voice low but urgent. What does this mean for us? For Mia. He raked a hand through his hair, feeling the tension coil tighter in his stomach. I don't know, Sophie. Lila's back, and she wants to be part of Mia's life again. It's complicated. Sophie's eyes widened slightly, and he could see the anger simmering beneath her calm exterior. Complicated? This isn't just complicated. It's messy. You've built a life for Mia and yourself. Are you really considering letting Lila back in? Jake swallowed hard. The truth was, he didn't know. She had been a ghost in their lives for so long, yet Mia's innocence had brought them to this moment. He saw Sophie's worry morphing into something deeper, fear of being replaced or forgotten. I don't want to replace you, he said, searching her face for some sign of understanding. But Mia deserves to have her mother in her life. We both know it. However, he hesitated, considering how to ease Sophie's fears. I need you in this, too. You're part of Mia's life, and I can't lose that. Sophie's expression softened but didn't quite lose its edge. And what about Lila? Is this even real? Can we trust her not to hurt Mia again? I don't know, he admitted, his voice faltering. I see how much Mia loves her. It's not that simple. But if Lila wants to be there, she needs to prove it. It can't be just words. Sophie nodded, but her brows were still knitted together. That sounds like a slippery slope, Jake. Can you manage that? Can you stand watching your daughter give her heart to someone who might only break it again? She was right. Approaching the situation meant stepping into a minefield of emotions. Jake felt an urgent need to protect Mia from the uncertainty lurking ahead, but he also understood the impact of a mother's love, however fractured. Maybe we can set some boundaries, he suggested. She can meet with Mia, but there needs to be ground rules. We can figure it out together. Sophie's lips pressed tight together as she took a deep breath, contemplating it. So we're doing this, for Mia. Keeping her hopes up. I want to make sure she is safe, he said softly, his heart heavy with the decision they were about to make. We owe it to her to try, even if it hurts us. As they stood together in that precarious moment, Jake felt the gravity of their choices hanging in the air between them. Just then, a delighted squeal erupted from Mia, drawing their attention back to where she sat with Lila. Mommy! Look at that giant teddy bear. The little girl was practically bouncing off the bench, her joy a stark contrast to the turmoil Jake felt inside. Lila knelt beside Mia, excitement painting her cheeks, igniting a flame of hope that twisted Jake's gut. This is what she wants, Jake, Sophie whispered, a mix of admiration and trepidation in her voice. This is your chance to either give her a real mother or lose her to the past. Jake felt the weight of the moment shift in his chest. He realized then that whatever choice they made, it would define their paths. Let us give it time, he finally said, placing a hand on Sophie's shoulder, grounding them both in this uncertain moment. But we need to be on the same team moving forward, it's the only way we can protect Mia. Sophie's lips curled in a tentative smile, the storm in her eyes calming slightly. Maybe they could face this together, or maybe it would only tear them apart. As they turned back toward Mia, the gleeful laughter ringing in the air, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. How would they contend with the reality of Lila's return? And would that reality forge a path of healing or fracture their small family even more? Jake's heart raced as he watched Mia and Lila sharing a fleeting moment of joy. The sight should have warmed him, but instead, it felt like the ground was shifting beneath his feet. Every giggle that escaped Mia's lips cut deeper than the last, pulling him between hope and fear. Lila had been an enigma for so long, and now she was back, claiming a space in their lives that felt both familiar and alien. You okay? Sophie's gentle nudge brought him back to the bear's laughter, the delight on Mia's face. Yeah, he lied, shaking his head slightly as if to clear it. Just taking it in. Mia jumped off her seat, running toward them, her hair flying wildly in the breeze. Daddy! Mommy! We can get that bear. Can we? Can we? She chirped, pointing back at the giant teddy, her eyes shimmering with excitement. It's pretty big, Pumpkin, Jake replied, forcing a smile. You think you can carry that home? Nope. But I can hug it forever. She laughed, her innocence like a warm blanket, wrapping around his worries. Sophie shared a quick glance with Jake, both knowing the weight of that decision. Let us check the price, she said, her voice steady, masking the undertones of hesitation. As they walked toward the bear stall, Mia ran ahead, her vibrant energy bubbling out of her. The chaos of the fair swirled around them, bright lights flashing, laughter ringing through the air, the smell of cotton candy lingering like sweet nostalgia. Should we buy the bear? Mia called over her shoulder. Maybe it can be the same size as Mommy. Jake chuckled softly, his heart warming at Mia's innocent remark. A bear that big would take up a lot of space. But you could cozy up to it, that's for sure. The bear vendor looked up at their trio with a kind smile. That big fella's a fan favorite. I can give you a little discount. For the little one, of course, he added, winking at Mia. Jake exchanged a glance with Sophie, their silent debate playing out without words. This was the kind of joy Mia should have, a life where hope didn't seem tainted. Okay, let us do it, Jake finally said. Just make sure you can share him with everyone, okay? Mia beamed, her happiness radiating through the bustling fairgrounds. With the bear firmly under one arm, Mia led them toward the carousel, her joy infectious. As they queued, Jake couldn't help but feel a pang of regret. The thought of Lila drifting in and out of Mia's world felt like a spinning carousel, chaotic and unpredictable. Do you think Lila can really change? Sophie's voice broke through his thoughts, quiet yet probing. I want to believe she can, Jake replied honestly, his brow furrowing. But, what if we wind up hurting Mia again? Trust is not easily regained, Sophie murmured, her gaze following Mia's excited anticipation as she bounced from foot to foot. The carousel spun into action, music filling the air as dazzling horses lifted and descended, drawn by an unseen magic. For a moment, Jake focused on Mia's laughter, soaking in the pure joy emanating from her. Just as they settled into their seats, Mia looked directly at him, her eyes wide and earnest. Daddy, what if I want to live with both you and Mommy Lila? Can I? The question hit Jake like a punch, leaving him momentarily speechless. He glanced at Sophie, who wore a look of quiet resignation, as if she too was grappling with the weight of that possibility. I think we'll have to talk about that one day, sweet girl, Jake finally said, his voice thick with emotion. We're all still figuring this out, but you know we love you above everything else. Mia smiled, yet the innocence in her eyes was shadowed by the reality swirling around them. As the carousel whirled faster and the music crescendoed, Jake couldn't shake the foreboding feeling rising within. What would their lives look like as Lila stepped back into the picture? And could love expand to accommodate all the broken pieces? As the carousel began to slow, Jake took a deep breath, the ride of their lives just beginning. Jake held onto the bar of the carousel, trying to steady himself as the music began to fade. The vibrant lights around them diminished, softening as if the evening itself was exhaling. Mia's laughter faded into the background, replaced by the echoing questions that danced in his mind. What was happening to their little family? With Lila's return, everything felt precarious. As they dismounted, Mia twirled around, her teddy bear swinging to and fro. Jake forced a smile, wanting to capture that joy forever, but the weight of unasked questions lingered in the air. Let us find something to eat, he suggested, desperate for a distraction. Hot dogs! Mia shouted, her eyes lighting up at the food stall ahead. The colors of the fair were still dazzling, yet they felt like they belonged to a different world, one without complexities or tangled feelings. Sure thing, but we'll have to share, Sophie interjected, bending down to meet Mia's excited gaze. 2 hot dogs, right? Yup. And a lemonade. Mia added enthusiastically. As Jake stood in line for the food, he couldn't shake the knot tightening in his stomach. He watched as Sophie crouched beside Mia, whispering something that made her giggle. A pang of longing shot through him. He wanted that lightness. He wanted it for both of them. After their snack, they joined the throng of people moving toward the games, the air electric with competition and laughter. Jake couldn't help but feel uneasy. The last thing he wanted was for Lila to create another dent in Mia's happiness. Would this all just lead to another heartbreak? Mia! A familiar voice called out. All 3 heads turned to find Lila strolling toward them, her presence warm, yet unsettling. The sight of her rekindled the swirling emotions he tried to box up. Mommy Lila! Mia squealed, racing into Lila's open arms. Jake's heart sank further as he watched them embrace, the image of a family he once knew but had since hesitated to cling to. Look, I got a bear! Mia exclaimed, showing off her prize. Lila knelt down, eyes sparkling with genuine excitement. That's amazing, sweetheart. He's just as big as you. Lila said, joyfully engaging as if no time had passed. Jake stood back, folding his arms, wrestling with a sudden rush of protectiveness. How could Lila just step back into Mia's life, as if it were that easy? The dread pulsed within him like a drumbeat. Everything was meant to be shared, especially moments like this. Sophie put a reassuring hand on his elbow, drawing his attention. Let them bond. It's what Mia needs. Or what Lila wants, Jake muttered under his breath, glancing away as another family strolled by, their laughter blending into the cacophony of the fair, a reminder of the choices that lay ahead. As Lila lifted Mia up onto her hip, Jake's resolve cracked. He wanted to believe it could work. Maybe Lila had come back ready to love Mia and him fully. But was that enough? Mia, he called, hoping to redirect the moment. Why don't we show Mommy Lila your bear? Let's take a picture. They gathered for the snapshot, and as he pressed the button, capturing a moment that was both beautiful and painfully transient, he questioned his beliefs yet again. Could he foster unity without sacrificing the love he'd built with Sophie? Say family. Mia beamed, making it a joyous outburst. But as they smiled into the camera, Jake wondered. Was this picture only a temporary illusion? The fair continued to thrum around them, people moving, laughter rising, the night air electric with possibilities and dread. Would they navigate the future together, or would broken hearts remain an unspoken truth? Jake took a deep breath, feeling the weight of choices pressing down. Could he find a way to bridge that divide, or was he destined to stand apart, looking in? As Mia tugged at his hand, eager for the next adventure, he couldn't shake the questions that loomed like shadows. What would happen if Lila fell short of all that Mia was hoping for? And could love truly mend the cracks they've all endured? Jake watched the world drift by, but his focus remained anchored to Mia and Lila. They were laughing, their heads bent together in a conspiratorial whisper that filled Jake with a mix of longing and dread. Each giggle felt like a reminder that he might not be enough. He felt like a ghost in his own life, watching the two of them bond, while he stood on the sidelines, battling memories of a family that once felt whole. Let's play a game next. Mia suggested, her eyes wide with excitement. Sure, what do you want to try? Lila asked, clearly enjoying this moment. I want to win a giant stuffed animal. She beamed, her teddy bear forgotten beside her. Jake stiffened. The idea of Lila lifting Mia to pop balloons or toss rings over bottles made him feel as if he were losing the little girl again. How about we play a game together? All three of us, he said, forcing the words out. Great idea, Jake. Sophie chimed in, stepping in to alleviate some of the tension. Lila flashed a smile that seemed sincere but triggered a storm of emotions in him. Could he trust her? That question haunted him as they approached the game booth. As Mia clasped Lila's hand, Jake felt the cold grip of jealousy seize him. They settled at the ring toss, and Jake volunteered to go first. He tossed the rings, landing only one on a bottle despite his best efforts. The game attendant chuckled and handed Mia a consolation prize, an inflatable unicorn. She squealed with delight, and in that moment, Jake's heart softened. Maybe Lila was here for all the right reasons. Next, it was Lila's turn, and she expertly tossed several rings, knocking a few bottles over. I guess I'm pretty good at this, she laughed, her eyes bright as she won a prize, a massive, floppy-eared bunny. Mia clapped her hands, her joy infectious. That's the biggest bunny ever. Can I hold it, Mommy Lila? Of course, sweetheart. Lila replied, handing over the plush toy. Jake tried to hide his irritation as he watched the scene unfold. Let's take a picture, all of us. Sophie suggested, sensing the tension but trying to remain light-hearted. They gathered for a photo, Mia nestled between Lila and Jake, the giant bunny awkwardly squeezed against their sides. Jake forced a smile for the camera, but a rush of conflicting emotions zapped his heart. Lila was back, and she was trying. But could it last? As they stepped back from the game booth, Mia's enthusiasm only grew. "Mommy Lila, can we go on the Ferris wheel?" "Absolutely. Let us go." Lila grinned, and Mia squealed with delight. Watching them walk away, hand in hand, Jake felt the weight of his decision pressing on him. He could see it clearly. Lila was all in, diving back into Mia's life, but where did that leave him? Jake turned to Sophie. "What if she just wants Mia? What if I'm just a side character in this? It feels like I have to fight for every moment." Sophie looked at him with concern. "You're not a side character, Jake. You're her father. It's all new. You have to allow space for Mia to find her way. You know she loves you." "Yeah, but what if this feels like an endless loop of heartbreak?" He ran a hand through his hair, frowning at the fare below. As they started towards the Ferris wheel, Jake's heart raced. He couldn't ignore the familiar tightness in his chest. He couldn't shake off the fear that their lives might not merge into anything beautiful. Mia's laughter echoed above the fairground sounds, a clarion call that both delighted him and twisted his insides. They reached the Ferris wheel, and while Mia climbed excitedly into the seat with Lila, Jake hung back, wrestling with his feelings. He wanted to believe in possibilities, but could this fragile moment be enough to rebuild their little family? He held his breath as the wheel turned, taking them higher, one small girl, her mother, and the father who was trying to find his place. What would happen when the ride came down? Would it bring him closer to Mia or push him further away from Lila? As the Ferris wheel climbed against the backdrop of the twilight sky, Jake felt as though time had fractured. The vibrant lights of the fair illuminated Mia and Lila in a warm, golden glow, their laughter spiraling into the night air. He watched as Mia's face scrunched up with delight, her tiny hands clinging to the safety bar, and for a flickering moment, his heart tinged with warmth. But as he stared at them, that warmth quickly hardened into a cold blend of anxiety and doubt. Who was this woman who had returned into their lives, effortlessly looking every part the loving mother? Lila looked up and laughed with Mia, her carefree nature a sharp contrast to the weight on Jake's shoulders. What did he have to offer now? The wheel kept turning, and so did his thoughts. Would Mia truly choose Lila over him? He frowned, the anxiety tightening in his chest. No matter how much he wanted to pretend the past didn't matter, it did. He couldn't ignore the ache of feeling like a visitor in his own family. The ride finally came to a slow halt, allowing the passengers to disembark. Jake felt a flicker of relief rush through him, but tempered by what was to come next. Just as Lila waved cheerfully to him, he caught a little boy staring at them from across the crowd. The child was clutching a teddy bear, looking lost. Their eyes locked for a brief moment, and something about that gaze tugged at Jake's heart. The boy looked like he was in search of something or someone. "Hey, are you guys ready to go again?" Mia beamed, eyes sparkling. "Let us get something to eat first," Lila suggested, glancing at Jake. "How about some funnel cake?" "Sure," he mumbled, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. As they headed toward the food booth, he felt that earlier unease creeping back in. He needed to tell Lila how he felt. She had just waltzed back in, acting as if everything would fall back into place, but Jake knew better. "Hey, can we talk?" he finally said, keeping his voice low so it didn't reach Mia's ears. Lila's sunny expression dimmed a little. "About what?" "About us. About Mia. About the fact that you've returned and act as if nothing has changed." Her brow furrowed, but before she could respond, a commotion nearby grabbed their attention. The child with the teddy bear was now crying, looking around desperately for his mother. People started to notice, murmurs rising in the crowd. "Wait right here," Lila said before rushing over to the boy. Jake stood frozen, watching her kneel down and comfort him. She whispered something, the kind of gentle words that revealed the soft parts of her heart. Mia tugged at Jake's shirt, her eyes wide with worry. "What's wrong with him?" "Just lost, I think." As Lila took charge, it struck Jake how natural she seemed as a mother, even to a child who wasn't hers. An unsettling thought lurked within him. What if she had that same effortless connection with Mia? What if he wasn't meant to be part of this scene anymore? I'll help, Mia insisted, pulling away from Jake, her pure heart on full display. She scampered to Lila, reaching for the boy's hand, not just as a gesture of support but in total empathy. Watching them, a wave of protectiveness surged within him, but also a sense of dread. What if Mia became so enamored with Lila that she stopped relying on him? Would she forget him? Their laughter faded, replaced by the little boy's sniffles as Lila bent close, opening her arms wide, exuding warmth as she embraced him. Jake clenched his fists. It was time to face his fears. Lila, he called, breaking into their moment. Can we really figure this out? She turned, the boy momentarily forgotten. Jake, I want to make this work, but he stepped closer, heart pounding. But what? The crowd shifted, but everything felt still as her gaze held his. The unspoken words hung heavily between them. What was she going to say? Would it pull them together or push him further away into the shadows of doubt? Lila's eyes flickered with uncertainty, but determination soon settled on her features. I need to prove I can be here for both of you, she said finally, her voice steady. I've missed so much with Mia. I won't waste this chance. Jake felt a rush of mixed emotions, hope, tension, and a flicker of fear. Mia, still perched at Lila's side, looked back at him with trust painted across her face. Jake took a breath, hoping to channel that trust into his next words. This isn't just about you being back, Lila. It's about our daughter. She needs to know she can depend on you, too. I can't let her get hurt again. Agreed, Lila nodded, her resolve seeming to strengthen with his words. But I can't do this without your guidance, Jake. I know I've let you down before, but I want to change that. Let us build a real team, for her. Just then, Mia squeezed in between them, her small face lit with curiosity. Can we have a big team hug? Her innocent suggestion broke the tension. Jake and Lila exchanged hesitant glances but promptly knelt down to envelop Mia in their arms. The warmth radiated through him, reminding him of what mattered most. In this moment, they were a unit, a circle of love. Jake pulled back first, catching Lila's eye again. If we do this, we have to be honest with each other. No surprises. We're all in this together. Together, Lila echoed, a spark of gratitude lighting her eyes. He could feel the weight of the moment, a fragile commitment forming. As if sensing a shift, Mia burst out excitedly, can we go find that huge teddy bear now? I need him to be in our team too. The innocence in her voice made Jake smile. Sure, pumpkin, Jake replied, ruffling her hair. They moved, breaking the lingering tension, and the heaviness began lifting. He took Lila's hand, guiding her through the crowd. It felt natural, as if they were rekindling a spark while treading into new territory. At the bear stall, Mia's eyes widened when she spotted the massive teddy. That's the one. Can I have him? Jake glanced at Lila, a shared smile illuminating their faces. Okay, but we're all chipping in. It's our bear. Lila's eyes sparkled at Jake, mischief lighting up within. I think we'll need a big truck just to fit him in one piece. Jake laughed. Don't forget we've got to name him after the team. How about Team Bear? Team Bear. Mia cheered, alluding to the magic of the moment. Once the bear was secured, their laughter blended with the fair's vibrant energy. While they savored hot funnel cakes, the laughter became infectious, the simple joy momentarily drowning out any lingering doubts. But as the night grew deeper, challenges re-emerged when Mia turned to Lila. Are you really gonna stay for all my birthdays? I want you to blow out the candles with me. The question hung between them like a challenge. Lila's smile faltered just slightly but regained its brightness. Yes, sweetheart. I want to be there for every special moment. Jake watched Lila carefully. Would she truly remain committed? He wanted to protect Mia's heart fiercely. He saw glimpses of the woman he had once loved but remained sharp in his mind that he had seen this before. As they made their way toward the brightly lit carousel once more, he felt a surge of hope blooming alongside worry. This night wasn't just a fleeting moment at a fair, it was the beginning of their reshaped family story. They hopped onto the carousel together, Mia bursting with exuberance, circling with glee. "I love this!" she squealed, eyes sparkling in the carousel's lights. As they rode, Jake took a moment to soak it all in, the laughter, the warmth, the shared presence, and he glanced at Lila. The connection they had felt in the huddle returned, flush with the possibility of change and reconciliation. Conversations would need to happen, boundaries set, trust built. He knew that wounds from their past still lingered and shadows of doubt would need confronting. Yet, standing there with his family, he felt an underlying promise that, maybe, just maybe, they could rewrite their story together. As the carousel whirled and slowed, Jake held on to the hope that their journey would redefine love. Whatever uncertainties lay ahead, they wouldn't shy away. They would face it all, together, because as he looked at Mia's joyful expression, he knew that family didn't just happen, it was something you built. Each moment was a brick laying the foundation for a better tomorrow. And in that instant, he chose to believe again. This was their moment to embrace change. As the night wore on, Jake whispered a silent promise in his heart: he would protect Mia and ensure that they would all find their place in this new reality. Whatever pain the past harbored, they were ready to build a future filled with love and laughter. So, if you're moved by this story, you need to subscribe now. Hit that button immediately. This is the moment to show your support for heartfelt stories like this. And don't forget to leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Seriously, it makes a difference. Comment below your reactions and feelings about how this journey unfolds. Your thoughts mean the world. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans like you understand the importance of supporting the channel so we can keep creating impactful stories.